I am so happy to be here with you today. You know the drill. I always just want to make sure that the live stream works. One day I'm going to just trust it. And this will actually play very well in our talk today, which is all about strengthening our intuition. So come on in. Come on in. Okay. So I don't really see it, but I am going to just trust that it's there. Here we go. Okay, cool. Awesome. Hi, ladies. It's so good to have you here. Just getting my notes together. Awesome. And for all of my new sisters, hey girl, how you doing? My name is Karunasol, and I am a certified holistic health coach, a naturopathic practitioner, and a Pilates instructor in training. And really, overall, I am a feminine vitality fanatic. So I'm here to help you master your vitality through feminine energy, nutrition, life hacks, and soul work. So I am so excited for today's topic. It really just flew out of me, and I think that we're all going to get some really great benefits from it. So we're going to be talking today how to optimize our feminine energy through strengthening our intuition. Super important. So first, let's talk a little bit about what is intuition. You know that little voice that speaks to you and tells you something? But it's like this overarching sense of calm. It's like this sense of knowing, and you don't know how you know it, but you just know it, right? So for example, let's say you're in another country and you have this fish stew sitting in front of you, and something inside of you is saying, actually, girl, that's gonna make us sick. Do not eat that. Or maybe you have someone smiling in your face and telling you all the things you want to hear, but something inside is telling you, this is not the full story. I know that there's something else there. This, my darlings, is intuition. This is your intuition. So what exactly is intuition? Intuition is subconscious processing. And when we're talking about the subconscious mind, this rules 95% of our existence. The conscious mind only rules 5% of our reality. So intuition is extremely important because it is the processing of our subconscious. And so it takes into account our entire selves. I'm talking about our values, our beliefs, our habits, our thought patterns. And our intuition is there to help our soul to progress while we're here on this planet. So how is feminine energy and intuition, how is that connected? Our intuition communicates through our body. And being connected to our bodies is the highest form of feminine energy. You know, we've talked about this before. Being connected to ourselves, being connected to our bodies is what allows us to flow into our feminine energy. So when it comes to intuition, I find that the word instinct and intuition are used interchangeably, but that is not necessarily the case. So if we're looking at intuition, or instinct rather, we're more looking at a survival process because that's what instincts are. They are our physical perception. They rule the conscious mind, remember, and that's only 5% of our actual reality. So instincts are our basic survival needs. This is for the body to continue. It's more of that instant gratification, that immediate gratification. So you can look at instincts as gut feelings. And those are the markers of our intuition, okay? So for example, let's Robert Frost it real quick. 2 roads diverge in a wood, right? One road looks super scary. Cobwebs, wolves howling, it's dark, it's dreary, it's foggy. I don't know, maybe some of y'all like that. I would personally be a little scared to go down that road. Or there's a road right next to it. That road is peaceful, it's serene, there's rivers flowing, there's beautiful gardens. You feel like you've entered the Garden of Sheba. Your instinct, your gut is going to tell you probably to run to the calming, serene, river flowing place. And that's because it wants to keep us safe. Remember, it's that immediate gratification, not the long term, not the long game, right? So where instincts and intuition come together is they're used synergistically. So instincts typically tend to kick in first, which helps us quickly act on potential threats, right? And a lot of times that's where anxiety might come from, is because you're perceiving a threat, a possible threat. Usually that's not the case, especially because we're not running for our lives as much anymore as when we were hunters and gatherers and such back in the day. But that's really where our instincts come from. It's millennia and millennia and millennia of people developing and carrying those codes, carrying those messages through our DNA to where we are today. And intuition offers a more comprehensive and deeper insight and guidance to that gut instinct. So our gut reactions are shaped by our instincts. And the insight and the discernment from our intuition makes and creates the decision-making process. And that's that long-term, slow game gratification. So here's how the two can be used in different ways, right? So let's go back to the two roads diverging in the wood. One looks really scary, one looks really peaceful. Your instincts might tell you to go the peaceful route because they know it's going to be easy and quick and you'll get to the other side. But your intuition might take this information in like, okay, instincts, I hear that you want to go this way, but I know that at the end of this really scary, dark road is your actual desire, is actually where you want to be. And you're going to have to work a little bit harder to get there. But you're in the process of going down the scary road. You're becoming the person that can handle that desire that you want. Whereas your instinct might be saying, go the easy route. I want us to be safe and make it easy. And you may get to your desire, but you didn't become the person that can hold on to your desire. And I know we've talked about this before. You can have $1 million, but that doesn't make you a millionaire, right? There's those, so that's why I don't really like to use intuition and instincts as the same as interchangeably, because they are a little different, but they do work together. So why is this even important? You want to be the best version of yourself, don't you? And I feel like if you're a part of this community, if you're on this channel, I'm going to assume that's a yes, because that's what I'm talking about when I talk about feminine vitality. And when we follow our instincts and honor our intuition, this pays homage to a formula that has been tried and true over hundreds of thousands of years. Like I said, that DNA coding that's been going through forever. And it is my belief, and this is what I've received from talking to God, from my own personal development, from my own learning, that we are here to self-actualize. And self-actualization is a term that was coined by psychologist Abraham Maslow. And I don't know if you've heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If you haven't, I would highly suggest to check that out. And we can talk about it in another video as well. But self-actualization, this is the process of realizing our full potential and becoming the best versions of ourselves. So just know, whenever I talk about self-actualization on this channel, this is what I'm talking about. Reaching our potential and becoming the best version of ourselves, because it is possible. And this is authenticity at its finest. You are not a copy, my love. You are as unique as your fingerprint. Like we've talked about the fingerprint. There's no one else on this planet that has my fingerprint. There is no one else on this planet that has your fingerprint or has ever had your fingerprint. And when we follow our intuition, you are going to help the world because you are showing up as your authentic self. God put you here exactly as you are to share exactly who you are, to help other people exactly as they are. So when we fall into the trap of trying to be someone else, trying to copy someone else, just not going with who we are, we never reach our full potential. We'll never become the best versions of ourselves. And think of all the people that you could have helped by just walking in your truth, being your authentic self, okay? So this is why this is so extremely important. So how to strengthen intuition? This could be a whole course, which I might have to make one day. However, we're going to be particularly talking about practicing and exercising self-love. So intuition comes from God's love and speaks to us through our bodies, through ourselves, right? So we honor ourselves, we practice self-love, we strengthen that intuitive muscle. I really like to look at self-love or soul work or inner work as exercises. You know, the soul work is the gym, it's the weights, it's the treadmill. And our intuition is the muscle that's being built as we're doing all this work. You might be wondering, why am I doing all this inner work? Why am I doing all this soul work? It is to strengthen this intuitive muscle to help you actualize your fullest potential in this reality. And a woman in her feminine energy, she is intuitive, she is in flow. She has reached and is continuously working towards becoming her highest self. And that's the thing with soul work. It's not a one-time tried and true thing. This is a constant work that you will be doing for the rest of your life. But if you work harder on yourself than you do at your job, you will live a life of abundance. I promise you that. But it never stops, and that's exciting. I love it. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm going to give us 4 tips, 4 tricks, 4 activities that will help us strengthen our intuition. And you know what? I might even throw a bonus one in there if you stick around to the end of the video. So the first way to strengthen your intuition is by practicing prayer. Listen, baby, God is omnipresent, omniscient, and omnipotent. He is all present, he is all knowing, he is all powerful. Your intuition comes from God. When you feel those feelings, and just to distinguish what intuition is and what it isn't, when God speaks to you and when it's not God, when your intuition hits, when God is speaking to you, it's an overwhelming sense of calm. It's peaceful. There is no anxiety. What intuition is not is anxious, is fear, because that's not coming from God. That's coming from the enemy that we don't entertain that here, okay? So that's the difference between when God speaks to you and your intuition speaks to you and when it's other forces, okay? So practicing prayer and meditation is to recognize God's love, God's power, God's presence, and his knowing. You recognize that first. You give him gratitude. And then you ask for what it is that you desire or you need clarity on. And then you sit and listen. So the prayer is the action. Okay? And the meditation is you sit and listen and you allow the answers to come. And that's not to say that the answer is going to come right away. Sometimes it might come next week. Sometimes it might come next year. Sometimes it might come in the next few minutes. But it will come. Trust me. I know this. I know this in my being. And I know you know this too. That's the thing. And this is what I actually do for many things in my life. And I do this for my YouTube videos. I am not the type to plan ahead. I am not the YouTuber that has a whole list of, well, I take that back. I do have a whole list of video ideas or topics that I might want to talk about at some point when those divine intuitive whispers from God come to me and he says, ooh, talk about this, talk about this. I have like a running Google Docs sheet, but I don't have a ton of video ideas scripted, thumbnails made, and things of that nature. I'm just like not that kind of person really. I love to go with the flow. And I also love to go with your suggestions. But even then, I'll do it when it feels right to me because that's when it's going to be most authentic. Okay? So when I do this, and before if I'm stuck on an idea or if I don't know how I want to get it out, I will pray. I will pray to God, please give me the topic that you want me to teach your children. And then right before my videos, I'll pray to God, please give me the words to properly communicate to that one person that needs to hear this, or maybe that 1,000 people that need to hear it. So when you're including God in your daily activity, this is the ultimate form of practicing self-love. So prayer and practice. What kind of exercises can we do to practice prayer to strengthen our intuition? So the next conversation that you have, or if you make YouTube videos, TikTok videos, whatever, the next video that you make, I want you to pray to God first. And I want you to ask him what you should say and listen. And I've used this technique in my life. I've used this technique in conflicts with my fella or with family members. And when I do pray about it first and I ask for the answers, those conversations that I'm typically so scared about because I really don't like conflict, even though it helps to sharpen us as humans. Conflict is actually a good thing. It's not something to be afraid of, but who likes to feel uncomfortable? But when I do talk to God about it first and I ask him, those conversations go so much more smoothly than they could have ever. Okay, so that's the first point. Practice prayer. The second point in developing and strengthening our intuition is to practice self-discovery. So self-discovery is the ticket to self-actualization. To know yourself in and out is to gain the knowledge on how to become the best version of ourselves. Because like I said, just as we are as unique as our fingerprint, there is no one model that fits all on what's going to get us to where we need to be, because we're also unique and different. There are some guidelines, like I'm sharing one right now, ways to strengthen your intuition, but it's going to look different for everybody. But the benefits of self-discovery, the benefits of really knowing yourself, there's better self-regulation. There's higher self-control, right? So if you're someone who gets really emotional and triggered really easily and you just explode and you burst, people go to jail for not being able to control themselves, for not being able to control their emotions. And that's something that I think about quite often. When I feel myself getting ramped up, it's like, ooh, people go to jail if they don't know how to control themselves, okay? So when you know yourself, when you know your triggers and you practice that deeper study of you, you're going to be able to control yourself, regulate yourself better. You're going to have higher creative achievement, just creativity, higher self-esteem. So you're going to really show up in your authentic self. And of course, this strengthens your intuition. So how do we do self-discovery in practice? I've got 2 exercises for you. This first one is so fun. I love doing this. So the first one I like to call the 4-corner exercise. So you're going to take a blank piece of paper in your journal or just a loose leaf piece of paper, and you're going to divide the paper in 4s. You're going to write your name at the top, and then in one quadrant you're going to write my likes, the next one my dislikes, my strengths, and my weaknesses. And you're just going to let it flow. You're going to let it come out. And when I did this exercise, I was actually amazed at how I could say my strengths and my likes so easily, with ease, especially my strengths, because I can be very critical and hard on myself, which I put as one of my weaknesses. So it was beautiful to see that unfold of like, wow, these are all the things that I like. Wow, these are all the strengths that I have. And I just looked at that list for so long. I looked at it again this morning, and it really helped put together, this is who I am. This is such a crucial piece to who I am. So the next time you're in conversation and someone's like, well, tell me about yourself. Who are you? In South America, what they ask, instead of saying, what do you do for work? They say, ¿qué dedicas? What do you dedicate yourself to? And when you, which I love way more than what do you do for work? So when you know yourself and you're able to just list off, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. Don't tell everybody all this, right? Not everyone needs to know. But it's just so good for you to know. Because when you know who you are, you know how to get to where you want to be, okay? And then the next exercise is actually a website. It's called 7 Levels Deep. And this exercise helps you discover your why, to live like a purposeful, not like a purposeful, to live a purposeful and fulfilling life. And I will link the link to that in our video description for this video. But this exercise is really cool. You basically type, something that you like or something that you want to do, and it just asks you why 7 times. Why? And the more succinct you can get with the why you're doing something, why you want something, the closer you are to getting it. So those are 2 really fun practices to do for self-discovery. I loved doing the first one. The 7 Levels Deep one is a little bit more difficult for me. I will admit that, but I'm going to try it again today and see what I come up with. And if you try any of the exercises that I share, please let me know. I'm so curious on how it works for you. So the third way to help strengthen your intuition through practicing self-love is to practice self-compassion. So self-compassion is the act of treating ourselves with kindness and care. And actually, karuna means self-compassion in Pali, which was the ancient pretext that the Buddha taught in. Karuna is not the name that my parents gave me. It is the name that I've picked for myself when I was in my early 20s, before I, started doing all of this. because I felt self-compassion was something that I had lacked so much, and my intuition was telling me, girl, this is something that you need in your life. If you want to get to that next level, you need to practice self-compassion. So I've like dedicated my public name to even edifying that. And self-compassion is so important. It's so healing for our bodies. You know, it reminds our bodies that it is truly safe to, it's safe with us to be able to speak its mind. If your intuition feels stifled, it is not going to speak to you. If you're not recognizing God, he is not going to speak to you. It is a privilege to have this intuitive voice. But if you're not treating yourself well, if you're extremely critical on yourself, not only is that going to hurt your relationship with yourself, it's going to hurt your relationship with others. Trust me, I know, as someone who is recovering from being very self-critical, I know that I can do that with other people, romantic relationships, familial relationships, friendships, and it just doesn't go well. So you want to be able to practice that self-compassion to learn to earn and gain that inner self-trust. It's so important in strengthening your intuition. So something that can help you practice self-compassion in everyday life, and these are things that I do, look at yourself as a child. And this will probably be helpful for all of the amazing women out there that are mothers. Imagine you speaking to your child the way that you speak to yourself. If you're like, oh, you stoop, you're so dumb, I can't. Can you imagine speaking to your kid like that all the time? I know maybe sometimes we get really overwhelmed and we just kind of blah, let it out, but I know we don't feel good about it afterward. I want you to feel that, I don't want to say guilt or shame, but I want you to feel that intense about when you talk poorly to yourself, when you don't treat yourself well. And if you don't have kids, maybe if you have a dog, look at it as, would I want to speak to my dog like this? Would I want to treat my dog like this? Absolutely not. We all are kids in grown-up bodies, okay? If we're going back to the subconscious mind, our subconscious stops forming around 8 years old. So what that means is our beliefs and our thought patterns are already formed by the time we are 8 years old. And this is why soul work is so extremely important, because that's typically formed by our parents, by our teachers, by other people, not really by us. And if we weren't held and handled with care as children, that will play out very aggressively in our adulthood. So that's what we have to kind of go back and relearn and reteach ourselves. So you are a big old kid. Treat yourself like that. Another exercise I love to do is to count my daily wins. And to be honest, I haven't done this that much frequently or recently, but that's why I also love doing YouTube videos, because it just reminds me of things that I need to be doing more of, because these things have worked for me in the past. So what do I mean by counting your daily wins? Anything. At the end of the day, look over at the amazing things that you did today. It could be, I went for a mile run and I only ate vegetables and lean proteins all day. Or it could be, I put on my sneakers to go to the gym. I didn't quite make it there, but I had the intention to go. That's a win. I emptied the dishwasher today. That's a win. They don't have to be these big grandeur things, because again, if we're speaking to our subconscious, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a big win or a small win. It just knows that you're going in that direction, that I am a winner. So when you recount the wins that you do every day, you're reminding yourself of how awesome you are. And it's a lot easier to treat yourself with that kindness and caring that we were talking about, that self-compassion. And another way to practice this is observe your emotions, right? Observe them, embrace them, and let them go. I saw a YouTube video, and it was for children who are dealing with grief for the loss of a parent. And I forget the YouTube. I'll have to ask, because I'd like to link it. But how it talked about a child observing its emotions was so beautiful. It was saying, have the child look at itself as it is the pond, and the emotions that pop up are just little fish in the pond. It's not you. The emotion isn't you. It's just something that's popping up in your pond. So you can observe it and you can embrace it and give it a hug, and then you can just let it go and let it swim. And that's another way to build your self-compassion and overall strengthen that intuitive self, because you're allowing yourself to exist and you're not being so critical, so that intuitive voice can become stronger and stronger. Okay? And the fourth way to strengthen your intuitive self, your intuition, is to practice creativity. Now, creativity is the essence of feminine energy. When we're creative, we're in flow. Creativity isn't really structured. If y'all have seen the movie Soul, which when that first came out, I probably watched that movie, I don't know, 100 times. Like, I would watch it to put me to sleep. And I forget what they call it now. I keep wanting to say the sunken place, but that's not. That is the polar opposite. That's Get Out. But you know, the place where when the creatives are just getting lost in their art, one's reciting Romeo and Juliet, one's playing, you know, the guitar, there's the dancing dude that does his spinny things, and they go to this beautiful place. That place where you're just in flow. That will strengthen the bond that you have with your truest self, and thus it's going to strengthen your intuition. Okay, so creativity is so extremely important because you're getting into that flow state. So how do we get to creativity in practice? We play around with ideas that you have, honor those ideas as intuitive whispers from God. Look at life as a game and master it through feminine play, right? And there's this amazing book. It's called The Game of Life and How to Play It by Frances Shovell. I forget. She has two last names. But there's an audiobook on YouTube. I'll link it in the video description. The Game of Life and How to Play It. Such a good book and such a great way to look at life. And I'm not saying look at life as a game like playing with people's emotions. It's just playing around, seeing what works, having that childlike observation. If you're a mother and you see your kids and you see how curious they are, and like, ooh, she told me it's hot, she told me that stove is hot, but I don't know, I'm gonna play with this. And sometimes you get burned, and sometimes you just learn what really works for you. So just incorporate more play. And how you can do that is do something that you enjoyed to do as a child, whether it was sing, write, perform, read, draw, whatever comes naturally to you. Practice it to find your flow. For example, yesterday, and this is also a good talk on how to raise your vibration. In the morning, I was not feeling all that great. The energies and where I was, it just wasn't awesome. So what I decided to do was I turned on some Spice Girls and I had me a little dance party. And honey, I felt so good. I felt so in flow. I felt so much better. And actually, that's where I got the idea to do today's video. And growing up, I loved the Spice Girls, okay? Like, I was Scary Spice through and through. I was obsessed with the Spice Girls. So just turning on the Spice Girls, blasting the music, having a little, free flow dance party was so healing to my inner child. And it really just honored my body and it honored myself. And it gave me the intuitive whisper to do this video today, which I was so excited to get my notes together to do. So you've made it this far in the video. I'm going to give you a bonus tip on how to strengthen your intuition. Baby girl, nourish that beautiful body, nourish that temple. A clean body from the inside out gets rid of all the junk and gunk that deafens our intuitive voice. And we're talking earlier about instincts and gut feelings, like that comes like physically from your gut. So when our somatic markers or our gut instincts come from our gut, if our gut is full of gunk and junk, we're not going to be able to hear anything. It's just going to be gurble, ooh, chips, ooh, Twinkies, gurble. It's not really, you're not connecting to that intuitive part of yourself. You're just hearing the gurbles. So when we take care of our bodies again feel safe to just be. And then it wants to work for us. Our bodies always want to work for us. But when we show it that love and respect by nourishing it, ciao. You're going to feel better. You're going to live better. You're going to be better. Your intuition is going to be so strong. So nourishment and practice. How do we nourish ourselves? I'm not saying you got to do this every day. I'm saying pick one day out of the week, maybe for the rest of this month. One day every week where you prioritize your nutrition. So you're upping your water intake intentionally, you're eating more vegetables intentionally, and you are cutting out sugars, foods, caffeine, other than green tea. green tea or matcha is actually quite beneficial for especially women, our reproductive system, and it also gives us some energy. More so I'm talking about like if you have Monsters, Red Bulls, coffee, things of that nature, you want to cut those out just on that one day. Just give yourself one day to prioritize your nutrition. I promise you that's going to become a habit because you're going to feel a lot better. And if you want to learn more about that, I made a video and it's called Curb Your Cravings Like a Goddess or something of that nature. I'll put the video for that in the description below. But that is a wonderful way to empower yourself and get this intuitive self going. Girl, you are so welcome. I'm so happy that these tips have been helpful, and I'm so happy to have communed with you today. And ladies, we have only scratched the surface. There are so many ways to strengthen your intuition. There are so many ways to get to our highest self, that self-actualization, to be the best versions of ourselves, to reach ultimate feminine vitality, which again is what I'm here for, because this is what I feel I was put on this earth to do for myself, and that's why I want to do this for you. So I hope you found these tips helpful. If you like this style of video, if you want to learn more about strengthening your intuition, let me know, because I'm here for it all day, every day, okay? Thank you so much, ladies. It was such a pleasure communing with you today, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.